After finishing the last season as 7th in the Constructors' Championship with just 55 points, no one ever expected that Aston Martin would finish the first race of the 2023 season with a podium. But they did it, and it was totally a surprise. Four-time world champion Sebastian Vettel left the sport at the end of last season as he had no more hopes with Aston Martin for a championship. But everything has turned upside down within a period of 3 months, and it has appeared back on the grid with new energy for the 2023 season. Aston Martin's AMR23 seems to be the second fastest car in the grid based on the result of the Bahrain GP, and Red Bull was the only team that didn't experience a considerable attack from AMR23. Both Alonso and Stroll had experienced a poor qualifying session, and if they got a better start than that, they will surely challenge Red Bull as well. So, how did they enjoy such sudden success over a gap of 3 to 4 months? We are going to provide a detailed answer to this question through this video. Stay with us till the last second. But before we proceed, hit the subscribe button and smash the bell icon for more exciting updates. Aston Martin brand is not new to Formula One, as it appeared as a sponsor on many of the Formula One teams. Most recently, it had a deal with Red Bull as its title partner, before acquiring a Formula One team under its ownership. With the failure of the team owners of the Force India F1 team, Canadian billionaire Lawrence Stroll showed his interest in buying the Formula One team in 2017. Then he rebranded the team as Racing Point F1 Team and ran under that brand for 3 more years. Finally, he decided to reintroduce the Aston Martin brand into Formula One after several decades. Restructuring of the team happened in 2021, and Aston Martin F1 team signed the 4-time world champion, Sebastian Vettel, to drive for their debut season. But it was not competitive enough to compete with top teams in F1. However, they tried to make improvements by recruiting experienced and talented engineers from the rival F1 teams. They are currently going with a 5-year long-term plan to win the championship, as according to the team owner, Lawrence Stroll. He made several statements regarding the plans of the Aston Martin during the appointment of Mick Crack as the new team principal, replacing Otmar Szafnauer, who was with the team since the Force India era of the Silverstone-based team. Winning in Formula One is all about bringing together the best efforts of all the principal players, drivers, engineers, mechanics, everyone. And Mike is perfectly placed to do just that, said Stroll. We are hiring brilliant new people every week. Our new factory build is coming along very well. We have a fantastic roster of superb sponsor partners. We are about to embark on year 2 of our 5-year plan, the objective of which is to win Formula One World Championships, he added further. Mick Crack is someone with huge knowledge about the management process of the racing teams, and before being appointed as the team principal of the Aston Martin team, he served as the head of BMW's global motorsport operation. This new leadership have added a huge difference to the policies of the Aston Martin F1 team, pushing them towards a winning path. After the podium finish in Bahrain GP, Mick Crack talked positively about the progress that they have made as a new team in F1. We mustn't forget that we really didn't make any progress last year. In the first year we were P7, last year we were also P7, so we can't call that progress, can we? Said the Aston Martin team principal. I think it's time to move forward. We've done it now, but we still have a long way to go. If you look at how far we started, there's still a long way to go, he added further. Aston Martin has recruited a number of talented engineers from the rival teams to strengthen their development process. One of the most notable additions is the former head of aerodynamics in Red Bull, Dan Fallow, as well as the chief aerodynamicist of Mercedes team, Eric Blandon. These 2 additions have boosted the development process of the aerodynamic department of Aston Martin, as they brought secrets behind the 2 top teams like Mercedes and Red Bull to the Silverstone-based team. In parallel to the departure of Blandon, it can be observed a huge decline in the aerodynamic performance of the Mercedes team. Through that, we can understand how they were very influential figures in directing the Mercedes for 8 consecutive Constructors' Championships. Now those brains are with Aston Martin, and we can expect a bright future for Aston Martin under their guidance. One of the biggest accusations against Aston Martin in this season was They have copied the concepts of Red Bull in the development of their chassis with the help that they got from Dan Fallow. As we mentioned earlier, Fallow was the head of aerodynamics in Red Bull and was someone very close to Adrian Newey. So he had a good knowledge on the development techniques followed by the Newey, and we can see that knowledge practically on the body design of AMR23. Now, the Red Bull advisor, Helmut Marko, is looking for clarification regarding the way that Aston Martin has developed a car which is almost identical to their RB19. As things stand, copying is not forbidden, Marko said. But you also have to take into account that 7 people were poached from us, and that our chief aerodynamicist was pulled to Aston Martin with a disproportionately high fee. There are still some facts that we are checking. We will look into it in detail. Dan Fallows was on gardening leave, Marko said. What he has in his head. Copying is not prohibited in the approach. But can you copy without documents and then make such a detailed copy of our car? Said Red Bull advisor. Actually, this is the main secret behind the success of Aston Martin in this season, and they are now going to be the first Mercedes customer team that is going to beat the factory team in terms of speed in the turbo hybrid era of F1. Both the AMR23 and W14 are powered with an identical Mercedes engine, and the only difference is their body design. Mercedes is running a radical zero-pod body design, while Aston Martin is using a replicate of RB19. So that makes a huge difference in terms of speed. In addition to Fallow and Blandin, they have recruited the former Red Bull engineer, Andrew Alessi, and Alfa Romeo's Luca Furbato as well. After rebranding the team as Aston Martin, Lawrence Stroll doubled the workforce of the factory from 200 to 400 with the intention of boosting the development operations within the factory. Aston Martin is still using the factory built by their distant predecessor, Jordan F1 team, a long time ago, and it is mostly with the outdated facilities for a modern F1 team. So, the team management identified it as an obstacle to the development of the Aston Martin team and started to build a new factory on the same premises in Silverstone. It has been scheduled to be built as 3 chunks, and the first one is expected to complete in May 2023. This one is composed of all the facilities to carry out major operations of the racing team, and this will add a huge boost to the development process of the car. Most important section, which contains the newest wind tunnel facility, is expected to complete in Q3 of 2024. Currently, Aston Martin is sharing a wind tunnel with other rival teams, and they have less freedom in doing experiments. But through building their own wind tunnel facility, Aston Martin will be able to remove those barriers in the testing process. Overall, Aston Martin's newest factory will cost around £200 million. Aston Martin team owners are investing heavily on the future of their Formula One team, with the intention of winning a world championship within the next 5 years. Already in the second year of their schedule, they seem to be enjoying huge success in an unexpected way. It is too early to predict about the overall outcome of the 2023 season, but their performance in the first race of the season is outstanding. Red Bull appears to be the most competitive team in the ongoing season as well, but Fernando Alonso will give a better fight to Verstappen if he gets enough support from his AMR23 to do so. What do you think about Aston Martin's 2023 campaign? Will they be able to win a world championship by beating the dominant Red Bull team? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. Thank you very much for watching the video. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel to get more exciting Formula One news. See you guys in the next video. Goodbye.